In the meantime, Lulu, Rashid?
Naam, tunarudi studio. Nimeona kwamba kutakuwa na mkutano na viongozi wa madhehebu mbalimbali hasa ya kidini. Kuna jambo ambalo unaona ni tofauti sana na mwaka wa 2017 na mwaka wa 2022. Je, sijui kama nyinyi pia mmepata kuliona?
Yapo,
hatuoni sana viongozi wa kidini safari hii.
No, unajua wakati uliopita mwaka 2017 wale waliotuangusha nchini viongozi wa dini walikuwa wanatoka wanajionyesha hadharani wako wapi. Lakini wakati huu umeona wao wametulia na uwasikii wakiongea, na siasa inataka hivyo. Wao kazi yao ni kukosoa, sio kusema mimi. Kuna mmoja aliongea mpaka nikashtuka siku moja akasema mimi namshabikia fulani, upende usipende. Nikamwona kiongozi wa dini hapaswi kuongea hivyo. Kiongozi wa dini ni kuwaunganisha watu, kuwapatia watu chakula cha kiroho. Upaswi kuonekana umeingilia kwenye siasa na umebezi kwa mtu mmoja. Wakati huu unaona kidogo wametulia, wako safi. Sasa wao kazi yao hiyo ni kukosoa. Jamani, fulani umefanya hapa makosa, tunatakiwa ufanye hivi na hivi na hivi. Tofauti ipo kubwa sana. Sijui mwenzangu wewe umeonaje?
Nimeona leo tukiwa pale tunaangalia KICC. Wale viongozi wa kidini wakaitwa waje waombe. Maombi yale yalikuwa yameegemea upande wa KICC sana na si upande wa Karen. Nafikiri upande wa Karen pia ukienda kama watakuwa na mkutano wao na waite viongozi wa kidini waje waombe, nao watakuja na maombi ambayo inaegemea upande ule ule. Kwa hivyo nafikiri viongozi wa kidini pia ni wananchi, na wako na kura, na wako na nia, na wako na mawazo katika uchaguzi huu. Swala nyeti kwa mfano ambayo umesema ni kwamba hawajajitokeza kuongea kisiasa ama kunena mambo ambayo pengine yangeongezea moto katika mahali tuko kwa sasa. Na hiyo ni muhimu, na si wao peke yao, manake hata hawa mabwana ambao wamesimama hapo awali, unajua kama saa hii ingekuwa jamaa washafanya press conferences karibu 8, 9, 10. Unakuta kwamba kwa sasa kuna utulivu. Watu wengi wamesema wanataka kungoja na kuhakikisha kwamba IEBC imejiongelea kwanza kabla hizo press conferences kufanyika. Na nafikiria hilo ni jambo nzuri sana, inachangia ile maneno tulikuwa tunasema kwamba tumekomaa kisiasa.
Let's hope we stay that way, folks. Let's hope the maturity and level heads prevail in the end. Ramogi, Edward, we'll take a break. Lulu, Rashid, let's take another quick break. Chaguo la Kenya 2022.
Na bila shaka, na pia vile ukumbuka kwamba kuna ile orodha pana ya wale washindi wote kwa ujumla. Tumezungumza tu waliobwagwa, waliotikisa, lakini wapo wale ambao wawakilishi wanawake wamepata vyeti vyao. Kuna pia vile maseneta wateule, kuna magavana wateule. Wajua kuna raha ya mpiga kura kama kuona kiongozi wake katika runinga ya Citizen. Kwa hiyo tuwatendee haki.
Tunawatendea haki sahi, lakini kuna jambo ambalo pia kidogo mmeniangusha. Tangu tuje hapa hatujazungumza kuhusu wanawake kufanya vyema.
Kweli.
Mmeweka chini ya carpet. Lakini hata tuponeshe
save the best for the last. Save the best for the last. Sio, kwa hiyo tukirudi tutachangamkia baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu.
the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops are observing the electoral process our country is going through. We thank God that the process has so far been largely peaceful. As we draw towards the end, we are confident that the scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 8 will be fulfilled. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. Patience is better than pride. State of the nation. We commend all Kenyans for the peaceful manner in which we participated in the polling on August 9th, 2022, for ensuring that the country has remained peaceful. The patience and hope Kenyans have exhibited is appreciated. Nonetheless, we have seen a few instances of tension in some constituency and county tallying centers as well as at the national level, and we urge all actors to be peaceful and promote decorum in the process. Verification of presidential results. The focus of the nation is now on the verification and tallying of the presidential poll results by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. We are all praying for the commissioners and the staff that they have grace and ability to complete the process in compliance with the law and the sensitivity to the mood in the country. Let us all as Kenyans remain calm and wait patiently as the IEBC verifies and tallies the results. Let us not allow anxiety to build in the nation, and none should incite violence. Let us all heed the warning of God in Proverbs 6:16 to 19. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him: haughty eyes, a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that are quick to rush into evil, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up conflict in the community. We commend the continued peaceful demeanor of the presidential candidates and urge them to encourage their supporters to remain peaceful and patient. Number 3, the will of the people. We are very pleased to note the growing number of candidates who have publicly accepted the will of the people and conceded when they did not win the positions they were seeking. It is a beacon of hope that our democracy has matured. We encourage the citizens to follow this trend of peaceful managing the disappointment that comes when your preferred candidate is not declared the winner. For candidates who feel dissatisfied, kindly seek justice in the courts of law. Love your neighbor. We call upon all Kenyans to resume normal life. We must not allow fear and anxiety to build and cause elections to once again destroy the national peace and the cohesion we have worked so hard to build. We especially urge all of us to desist from consuming and sending messages that provoke hate, fear, and anxiety on social media. Let us seek to be a nation where we speak truth in love to each other, just as the Bible inspires us in the Matthew 22, verse 39. Love your neighbor as yourself. In conclusion, we conclude by encouraging all of us to maintain peace, exercise patience, and communicate truth to one another. On our part, we as religious leaders remain committed to pray for peace and cohesion in our nation. We invite all of Kenyans to join in prayer, individually and cooperatively, continually reciting the words of our national anthem, O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. Signed on this 13th day of August 2022 at Donham Day, Russell House, Karen, Nairobi. It has been signed by the Right Reverend John Obala Owa of Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Reverend Canon Chris Kinyanjui, National Christian Council of Churches of Kenya. Thank you.
Kwa ufupi tutasema kwa Kiswahili. Kwa ufupi tu. Sisi viongozi wa makanisa kutoka NCCK na KCCB ambao tumekuwa tukifuatilia mpangilio wa uchaguzi, tungetaka kumshukuru Mungu kwa yale ambao tumeona kwamba kumekuwa na amani katika wakati huu wote wa uchaguzi. La kwanza, hali ya nchi. Nataka kuwapongeza Wakenya wote kwa vile tulijitokeza kwa amani kupiga kura tariki 9 na kwamba tumesimamia nchi yetu kwa amani hadi sasa. Vile Wakenya wamejitokeza kwa subira mpaka sasa, uvumilivu, tunataka kuwashukuru na kuwapongeza. Tunajua kwamba kumekuwa na visa kadhaa za ghasia ndogo ndogo, lakini tunaomba wote ambao wanahusika waweze kuendeza na kumalizia wakati huu wa uchaguzi kwa njia ya amani. La pili, kudhibitisha ama uthibitishaji wa matokeo ya kirais. Tunajua kwamba bado tunaendelea kuhesabu. IEBC naendelea kutoa matokeo na hesabu, na tunawaombea makomishna wote na wale wanaohusika katika kazi hii wapate neema na tena nguvu ya kumaliza kazi hii kwa namna inayofaa kulingana na sheria, na hata wakiangalia hali iliyomo katika nchi yetu. Na hapa tunaomba Wakenya wote tuweze kukaa kwa utulivu na tungoje hadi wakati IEBC itaweza kutupa matokeo baada ya kufanya mahesabu yote. Tunajua kwamba kuna wasiwasi katika nchi yetu, lakini yoyote yule asitusukume katika ghasia. Na hapa tumetoa kutoka Mithali 6:16 hadi 19, mafundisho ya yale ambao Mwenyezi Mungu hapendezwi, na ndio tumesomewa. Basi hapo tunawashukuru na wapongeza wale ambao wagombeaji wa urais vile wametulia na kwa njia amani hadi sasa, na tunaomba hata waweze kuambia supporters, washabiki wao, waweze kutulia na kungoja kwa amani hadi mwisho tutakapotangaziwa matokeo. Nia ya wananchi, tumeona kwamba wagombeaji wengi wametoka kukubali matokeo ya nia mapenzi ya wananchi katika kupiga kura, na hata wakaweza kuwapongeza wale walioshinda. Hili ni ishara kubwa ya tumaini kwamba demokrasia tunaendelea kukua. Tunaomba wananchi wote tuweze kufuatilia mtindo huu kwa namna ya amani na kujua namna ya kupokea hata hofu inayokuja wakati tunaona mgombeaji tuliyempenda hakutokea kama mshindi. Kwa wale wagombeaji ambao wataona kuna sababu ya kuangalia matokeo na kuona wameshindwa kwa njia isiyofaa, tunaomba waende katika mahakama na njia ya sheria. Alafu upendo wa wenzetu, upendo wa jirani. Tunaomba Wakenya wote tuweze kurudi katika maisha ya kawaida na tusiruhusu hofu, woga ama wasiwasi iweze kutusukuma hadi uchaguzi ukaweza kuharibu amani na umoja wetu ambayo tumefanya kazi na tumeweka bidii kubwa kujenga. Tunaomba sote tuweze kujiepusha kwa kupokea, kuzungumzia na kutuma kati yetu ujumbe ambao unaweza kuwa ujumbe wa chuki, wa wasiwasi, wa kuweka woga katika mitandao ya umma ama social media. Tunawaalika tuweze kutafuta na kujenga nchi ambayo tuweza kuzungumzia ukweli na njia ya upendo kwa jirani na kwa moja kwa mwingine, tukifuatilia wito wa Biblia takatifu Mathayo 22:39, mpende mwenzako kama wajipenda we mwenyewe. Hitimisho, tunamalizia tukiomba wote wa Kenya tuweze kudumisha amani, kuweza kuwa na subira, uvumilivu, na tuweze kuzungumziana kwa njia ya ukweli moja kwa mwingine. Sisi viongozi wa makanisa tunawapa ahadi kwamba tutaombea amani na umoja katika nchi yetu. Na sana wakati huu tuomba Wakenya wote tujumuike pamoja katika sala, tukiwa peke yetu mwenyewe ama kwa jumla, tukiwa kama makanisa ama wengi pa pamoja, tukiongozwa na maneno ya National Anthem, wimbo wa taifa, ambao tuwajua waanzia: E Mungu nguvu yetu, lete baraka kwetu, haki iwe ngao na mlinzi, na baadaye tuwasema na tukae na umoja, amani na uhuru, na tuweze kupata baraka tere. Hayo ni ufupi wa tafsiri kwa Kiswahili. Naomba radhi akiwa nimekosea kidogo, lakini nafikiri imeshika vile mwenyekiti amesoma. Asanteni. Thank you. God bless you. Yeah. Okay. Oh. Did I get 80%?
Yes, you tried.
95.
All right, you heard the bishops there. Bishop Anthony Moheria, Archdiocese of Nyeri. And right before him was Bishop Reverend Joseph Ntombura of the Methodist Church, literally speaking the same language, urging Kenyans to maintain peace, thanking them actually for maintaining peace so far, and quoting passages from the Bible saying, love your neighbor as yourself as we go into the counting period. They also said that if anyone loses and they don't accept it, they could always seek justice in the court of law. And again, urging Kenyans and leaders especially to encourage their supporters to maintain peace. That's coming from the KCCB and also the NCCK. From there, we go straight to the Nerve Center, where all the numbers are being crunched, literally, by the second, by the minute, by the hour. We have our very own Francis Gashuri standing by. Shuri, what you got?
Jeff, we here at Bomas of Kenya, and as you say, it is a process of crunching the numbers, one after the other. All the 46,229 Forms 34A must make their way here to the Bomas of Kenya, as well as the 290 Forms 34B must also be here, of course brought in by the returning officers from the 290 constituencies, plus that one constituency that factors in the diaspora voters. So in total 291 constituencies, if you may like. So far, we have about 69 actually constituency results that have been announced here at the Bomas of Kenya. So a quick math will tell you that from 291, only 69 have been announced so far. We still have some distance to cover. And so far, the IEBC officers tell me that 259 returning officers from the 290 constituencies are already here at the Bomas of Kenya. So you can imagine the queue for the returning officers who are waiting to have the documents that they have come with verified and validated before the returning officer of the presidential election, that is the chairman of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, can take to the podium either himself or any of the commissioners that he designates to come and tell Kenyans how each of the 290 constituencies voted insofar as the presidential election results are concerned. And so far we have quite a long distance to cover, Jeff. Of course, there were those who are hoping that by today, Saturday, that the presidential election results would be known, would be announced, but that looks totally impossible to achieve because we still have quite a long distance to cover. And other than that, once the results are announced, they're looking at them also from a polling station to polling station basis. There's a screen here at the Bomas of Kenya, and our camera person Agi can show you. There's a screen here that shows some of the results that have been tabulated yet. Out of the 46,229 polling stations, results from 13,833 polling stations have already been declared, have already been announced here at the Bomas of Kenya. We still have quite some distance to cover. If you're to do some quick math, we still have about 32,000 or thereabout polling stations to have the results announced here, of course together with the constituency tallies from the various constituencies whose results have been brought here by the returning officers. And that should tell you that, Jeff, it's about 29% of the total polling stations so far whose results have been validated, verified, and of course announced by the chairman of IEBC, Wafula Chebukati, and the commissioners herein, who are also taking tons and tons and tons to the podium to declare those results. So Jeff, suffice to say, we still have a long way to go before the final result can be announced. But the good thing is that there is relative calm now, and the process is moving faster than it was yesterday. If you look at the auditorium now, you can see there are more than 10 desks that are being used to do this business of verifying and validating the results. So yesterday it was a little slower compared to what is happening now. The pace is quickly picking up, and you can also say there is relative peace. You saw a lot of altercations yesterday between agents and supporters of various political parties, the politicians from who support various presidential candidates, particularly the Azimio candidate Raila Odinga and the UDA candidate William Ruto. There were several altercations between the politicians from those two sides, but today none has been seen so far. So tells you that both teams now have adjusted to the situation, the emotions and the anxiety notwithstanding. So put it this way, Jeff, the process is, you can say it's slow but steady. Tells you that by the time maybe we move a little more, a few more hours, we should be able to have a few more constituencies results being announced. So 69 so far. We have a journey to go up to 290 plus the diaspora constituency. So quite some distance to cover, but it's moving slowly but steadily, Jeff, so far.
Slowly but steadily, Shuri, you put it right. 1/3 of the votes so far, 69 out of 290 constituencies. It's going to take a while. It's going to be slow, but at least, like Shuri tells us, it's sailing smoothly so far. Shuri, if I could quickly ask you, what's the mood like there at Bomas? What's the general mood like?
The mood is calm, Jeff. The mood is quite calm. If you compare to the political temperatures that were rising yesterday, very calm today. Everybody anxious, everybody hoping to see this process concluded and the result or the final tally of the presidential election declared by IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati. Speaking to quite a number of the political political players who are here to observe the process as it goes on, each of them is telling you they have their numbers. If you ask an Azimio political player, they tell you, we have the numbers, we have taken it. If you ask a UDA person, they tell you we have it. But none is so far telling you what are the exact numbers. And of course, what is important is to caution our viewers to take with a pinch of salt all the results that they see circulated by various political players until IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati takes to that podium and declares to the country how the final verdict looks like. Because what is happening here is a thorough scrutiny of all the forms that are coming in here, and if there is any anomalies, any discrepancies, then those are being pointed out immediately for attention by the IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati. And remember, these also a process before the verification right here at the auditorium. There's a prior verification that is being done. When the returning officers arrive here, there's a registration desk where they are registering, where they are also confirming that they have come accompanied with all the forms 34A and the form 34B, so that they don't get to the auditorium at the center here and then some of those challenges are detected. So each of these tables, about 10 of them, you can imagine at any given time, there are about 10 returning officers who are seated here, having the forms that they have come with tallied, verified, validated before the results are declared. So 10 at a go, that is why you see every so often, like every hour, you're having results that are being declared by the commissioners or the returning officer of the presidential election, Wafula Chebukati himself. So put it this way, calm situation, a bit of anxiety, but the process goes on.
Absolutely. Process goes on. And we just saw a moment ago, there's a lot of leaders there, actually. We just saw Governor-elect of Homa Bay, Gladys Wanga, among others. And Moses Kuria is also in the house as well. And I know you're not going anywhere, Shuri. You're going to be there burning that midnight oil, making sure that the numbers all come in. And like you said, only and only the IEBC gets the last word. We'll make the final results available to all of us. So we maintain patience and peace. That's what it's all about. What do you say, Rashid and Lulu?
Patience and peace. Na pia tukumbuke pia Bishop ameweza kusema pia watu waendelee na shughuli zao za kawaida.
Na ni swala ambalo lilizungumziwa, lakini wakasema kutokuwa na ugumu kumwambia Mkenya endelee na shughuli zake za kawaida kwa sasa hivi, utakuwa unamlazimisha kufanya kitu ambacho hawezi. Lakini licha kwamba ndio inatikana iwe hivyo, lakini kuna mambo ni kwamba kila Mkenya atakujua ni nani atakuwa rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, na baada ya
kidogo anasema kwamba maiki yako ina matatizo kidogo, lakini amesema kwamba kila mtu endelee na shughuli zake za kawaida. Manake amini usiamini ama ukweli wa mambo ni kwamba biashara nyingi zimesimama na lazima maisha yaendelee. Mtazamaji, kwa hivi sasa hebu tupate kusikia bullfighter mwenyewe alihisi vipi hapo jana alipokuwa anapewa cheti chake cha seneti.
Candidate that garnered the highest vote in the just ended election for the senator is awali. Thank you. Congratulations.
I want to urge the members of the County Assembly to call for an urgent meeting to sit on Tuesday, and I am going to ensure that the county executive, led by the CEO of the county, the CEO of the county will then gazette a sitting of the county assembly, and the agenda should be 2. The first one is that they must immediately be sworn in by the clerk of the assembly. And upon being sworn in, the second agenda which they should discharge under the constitution, they must elect the speaker.
Mumuna amebeba boni halali mabegani. Naam, kwa hivi sasa mtazamaji, kama nilivyokuarifu hapo awali ni kwamba wanawake wameweza kufanya vyema sana katika chaguzi hizi za mwaka 2022. Hivyo basi tunahesabu magavana 7 sasa kutoka 3 mwaka 2017, na mwenye aliyepewa cheti siku ya leo asubuhi alikuwa ni kutoka Embu. Bisi Silimbarire, hebu tupate kuona picha hizo.
The county returning officer hereby declares that Sicily Mutitu Mbarira has been duly elected as the county governor for Embu County in the elections held on the 9th day of August 2022. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, the great people of Embu. Thank you, the leaders who have stood by me from both Manyata, Runyenjes, Bere North and Bere South constituencies. We had a great team of Kenya Kwanza and UDA. They have made it happen for me. I couldn't thank them more. May God bless you. I look forward to serving the people of Embu County in a big way and to make Embu County a true land of opportunity.
Na mtazamaji, na ni mengi ambayo bila shaka tunakuletea katika siku hii ya leo. Bado kuna matokeo mengi ambayo tutakuwa tunakufahamisha, na pia vile vile macho yote yanaelekea katika eneo la uga wa Kasarani, ambapo viongozi wa kaunti ya Nairobi ambao ukiangalia wenyewe kama wanavyosema ndio kama mlango wa nchi yetu hii ya Kenya. Hivyo basi wataka kujua nani ameweza kupata kura nyingi kwa wakilishi wa wanawake, seneta, na pia vile vile swala zima la ugavana. Faisal Abdurrahman ama Faisal Ahmed kumradi yuko katika maeneo yale akiwa anampokeza mwenzake Gatete Njoroge ambaye pia naye alikuwa jana usiku wa jana kutupa taarifa hizo. Ukiangalia mitandao ya kijamii wengi wanauliza Nairobi yasemaje?
Naam, tutakujuza baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Kwa hivi sasa tulipe madeni kidogo.
As hell. And who's this sweaty guy getting all cozy? You must be invisible. Get up now. Give him a wake-up call. Yes, that's right. Swivel those hips.
Bing bang bing. Bing bing bang. Bang bang bang. Bing bang bing. Bang bang.
Star 126# or download my Safaricom app and let's lift one another.
Big leagues are back. Enjoy boosted odds on the English Premier League, the French Ligue 1, the German Bundesliga, La Liga, Italian Serie A, and many top leagues only on Shabiki.com. Kuwa Shabiki. Play now. Strictly not for persons under the age of 18. Betting can be addictive. Play responsibly. Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by the BCLB. License number 416.
Aren't you excited for the Champions League, Europa, FA Cup?
Gee, every moment from the Premier League. Every.
Don't forget local, the Ethiopian and Zambian leagues, and the FIFA World Cup.
You know what they should call it though? I've got it. Football's greatest season.
Get DSTV so you can drink from every cup that matters in football's greatest season. Only on SuperSport. Piga star 544 star 5# kuona kama unafaulu kujiunga na mpango wa lipa mdogo mdogo kutoka Safaricom.
Wacha hata nikupewe mwenye ujione. Wow!
Mwelekeo ni internet na Neon Ray Pro. Mwelekeo ni internet. Lipa mdogo mdogo. Mwelekeo ni internet.
Nice and Lovely imetunza ngozi yetu for over 25 years. Sasa inatujali with the best of jelly na the best of cream. Sawa.
Gundua jelly in cream ya kwanza duniani kutoka Nice and Lovely. Nyepesi kama cream na inalinda kama jelly. Nice and Lovely jelly in cream leaves no grease.
Jaribu the best of jelly na the best of cream.
My family is blessed. My children are blessed. My job is blessed. No weapon fashioned against my family will prosper. My children will reach their full potential. We will not die before our time. We shall eat the good of the land. We shall prosper. Diseases are not our portion. Good health is our portion. Riches and wealth are our portion. Amen.
Dial star 811 star 404# to get My Family is Blessed.
Wash your hands each time after handling your laundry, cause touching dirty or wet clothes comes with the highest risk of transmission of germs.
Toffee Strong enzymatic particles remove stains easily. Microcapsule fragrance goes into fibers and give you lasting freshness for the whole day.
Colorful day, wonderful scent.
Sasa, mimi ni Zuri kutoka Safaricom na niko hapa kukuchanua. Kaa macho. Safaricom upiga kutoka 0722 000 000 pekee. Ukipigiwa na namba nyingine, usipeane maelezo yako ya kibinafsi. Tuma namba ya mkora kwa 333 ili Safaricom ichukue hatua. Jichanue and take control.
Stubborn dark marks? Stop. Discover the power of vitamin C with the new Garnier Even and Matte Booster Serum, a highly concentrated serum that deeply penetrates, clinically proven to reduce dark marks by 43%. Get even glowing skin from day 6. New Garnier Even and Matte Vitamin C Booster Serum by Garnier. Naturally.
And welcome back to Kenya's Choice 2022. Continued wall-to-wall coverage, back-to-back, of the happenings and the countings and the tallying until the final vote is counted. We'll go first. We have a couple of lives. We'll go first to Faisal Ahmed. He's in Kasarani at the County Tallying Center. Faisal, you have any latest numbers coming in over there?
Thank you very much, Jeff. From the last time we spoke, we have not yet received any returning officers from the constituencies. Now, the remaining constituencies that are yet to bring their forms for tabulation and final tally for the 3 positions of governor, senator, and women representative include Westlands, Starehe, Dagoretti North, Embakasi South, Roysambu, and Mathare. However, a few hours ago, the returning officer for Embakasi Central came here and presented his forms, and the numbers are as follows. For the gubernatorial position, Johnson Sakaja garnered 46,049 votes. Polycarp Igathe garnered 33,260 votes. Edwin Sifuna, this is for the senatorial position, garnered 40,147 votes. Margaret Wanjiru managed to get 37,486 votes. And for the women representative seat, Millicent Omanga is leading in that with 40,194 votes. And Esther Passari is following closely with 39,791 votes. However, this brings the total for the 3 positions, with Sakaja leading in the gubernatorial race with 436,203 votes. Polycarp Igathe following with 367,000 votes and 44. And in the Senate race, Edwin Sifuna is leading with 456,432 votes. Margaret Wanjiru following with 326,591. And in the women representative seat, Esther Passaris managed to get 446,994 votes, and Millicent Omanga coming in second with 364,036 votes. Jeff, so far that's what we've managed to get, and the aforementioned constituencies of Westlands, Tarehe, Dagoretti North, Embakasi South, Roysambu, and Mathare yet to present their final numbers here at the County Returning Center at Kasarani Stadium. So we'll be waiting for those 6 constituencies out of the 17 that are in Nairobi to present their documents before we can give our viewers the final numbers. Now, out of the 6, 2 of those constituencies, that is Mathare and Starehe, had a bit of an issue yesterday and the day before in terms of there were allegations of voter malpractice, and also the whole process was marred in controversy in terms of tampering with balloting materials. We saw that with Starehe constituency, up until the winner was announced, there were a lot of issues with that particular constituency. So the IEBC is actually going to give us an update on that constituency, as well as the numbers that are coming from there. And as soon as we get them, we will relay them to you and to our viewers. Jeff.
Faisal Ahmed, half a dozen to go. Thanks so much for the updates. Really appreciate it. And thank you for being there for us. Really, really good stuff. And thank you for crunching the numbers as well. From Kasarani, we go straight back to the KICC. Our very own Seth Olale has been there all day long, where Azimio leadership was meeting in what they call the first elected leaders summit. Seth Olale, you're still there. What's happening? What's the latest?
Well, the latest, Jeff, focus has now shifted from the main auditorium that is actually the Azimio Command Center and communication station as well, and now towards you're seeing behind me, because this particular venue is where the various leaders of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition will be assembling just to get some more updates from the coalition's leadership. They are led by the flag bearer and the candidate, Raila Amolo Odinga, as well as his running mate Martha Karua and various other leaders. This will be a waiting area for many other leaders who will also be following the proceedings from the Bomas of Kenya. So those who can't make it to the Bomas of Kenya because of accreditation issues they can be accommodated at this particular mob place. And you mentioned earlier, Jeff, of course, this was the inaugural, the first ever of its kind, the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Winners Conference. Earlier on, we had speeches from the coalition's deputy presidential candidate Martha Karua, as well as key principals such as the Secretary General Junet Mohammed, who has also been re-elected for the Suna East parliamentary position. Others also included Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper leader, and this is where now I want to bring over the re-elected Embakasi South MP Julius Mawathe. The Wiper leader did actually emphasize on the need for unity and peace. Even after this particular process, do you think that this is very key in the country right now because of the anxiety?
Thank you very much, Bana Seth Olale, for the intro. Let me start off by name is Mawathe, Musili Mawathe, MP-elect, Embakasi South constituency. So, from what I can say is let me first of all thank the resident of Embakasi South for having re-elected me for the second term, and with a very big margin, and I really appreciate their support, and I'll continue, as promised, I'll continue working for them as I did in the first 5 years, making sure that we get bursary to educate their students, and also make sure that we come through and also do construction for schools. We only had one school when we started, and roads, and develop our area.
And from your party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, emphasized that now it's time for the country to unite and that peace is key.
Yes, there is actually the need for us as Kenyans to be united. Even after this election, we will still have one Kenya only. So there is need for us to continue being united, and we'll continue being united as a country. And I also urge all the citizens, you don't have another country to go to. Please, let's maintain peace. No matter what the outcome is, let's maintain peace as suggested and recommended by my party leader, Honorable Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And I also want to give kudos to Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka. Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka has delivered as expected by Azimio, and all the votes to Azimio as expected. We'll start off with the gubernatorial positions. For the governor's position in the Lower Eastern, he had delivered all the 3 governors, all the 3 women rep, and all the 3 senators, and all the parliamentary position except for, I believe, only 2. And so thus far, we have approximately in Wiper, approximately 28 to 30 members of parliament. But we've delivered, even more important, we've delivered to Raila Amolo Odinga the votes as expected, and even exceeded the expectation of Azimio, or rather what we expect to deliver to Baba, who we are sure will be pronounced the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya.
And now it's now down to the constituent parties under Azimio la Umoja, up to 26, now to, speak in one voice and to have one agenda. And that was very key. There was key for unity right now. How do you think it's going to be under this massive coalition that has actually over 25 constituent parties in terms of the command chain and in terms of who takes instructions from where? And of course, now pushing your agenda as a coalition in both houses of parliament.
Actually, that'd be very straightforward for us. It's not as much as we have very many, and even if you have very many children, you find a way as their father to bring them together. You heard on the call by His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka for all of us to come together and be united, and Martha also for us to be united and work together. We only have one leader. Once His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga is pronounced as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, we only have one leader, Raila Amolo Odinga, and it is his agenda we will be implementing. It is his agenda that we'll be looking out to implement. Having said that, I really want to thank everybody. Let's stay calm, and we know that actually Azimio has won 176 seats, and the other party has won 126. There is no way that we can win 176 parliamentary seats and lose the presidency. The presidency is ours to bag, and again, Raila Amolo Odinga will be sworn in as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. That we are aware as per our tallies.
And that can only be confirmed by one person standing at the Bomas of Kenya. That is the IBC chairperson, Wafula Chebukati. Until that is done and dusted, of course, Kenyans are following the proceedings live anxiously. But the rallying call from the Azimio la Umoja leadership, led by the Azimio la Umoja deputy presidential candidate Martha Karua, is for everyone to remain calm and wait for that final announcement from Bomas of Kenya. In the meantime, all the legislators, the winners, and even the leaders, the losers of this particular exercise are being encouraged to just make sure that they ensure that each and everything comes to completion in the right way, even as they wait for further instructions as to where this coalition is going to proceed next, even as the tallying at Bomas of Kenya continues, Jeff.
That's right, Seth. Thank you so much. You've been bringing us live reporting all day from the Azimio la Umoja Elected Leaders Inaugural Conference happening there at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. Seth, I know you'll keep us posted, burning that midnight oil. Doing a great job as always. Back to Rashid and Lulu as we continue our conversation.
Na bila shaka tunaendelea na mjadala kwa hivi sasa, na tumekuwa na wenzetu kuanzia tulipoanza na bado tunaendelea nao. Ramogi Odhiambo, shukran sana kwa kuwa na subra, manake lazima tutoke nje wananchi wajue kinachoendelea. Edward Rioba pia vile vile, asante. Lakini kuna kitu kimoja takatuzungumze hapa kuhusiana na kile ambacho kimeendelea. Tuliomba sana tupate uchaguzi ambao utakuwa na utulivu na kila kitu, na ukiangalia kwa kiasi fulani hilo limeweza kufanyika. Lakini tumetokea akizungumza wakati nyuma kwamba kuna dosari hapa na pale. Kuna mmoja kwa anauliza, Rashidi, je, siku za usoni kuna haja ya kwamba wale ambao ni makarani katika vituo vya kupigia kura vya IEBC wawe ni wafanyikazi wa IEBC, wale isiwe tunafika mahali tunaokota makarani waje wasimamie uchaguzi? Kwa sababu nasema hapo kidogo tuweza itia doa IEBC kwa vile visa vidogo, kumbe wale makarani ndio wao sio wa kuaminiwa na hawajibiki kwa mujibu wa sheria. Lizungumziaje?
Ni wazo zuri, kwa sababu hapo awali unajua hata returning officers tulikuwa tunaajiri wakati wa uchaguzi. Katiba mpya ilipokuja ikasema kwamba hapana, returning officer is a permanent employee wa IEBC. Kwa hivyo ako na miaka 5 ya kutayarisha uchaguzi katika eneo lile ambayo amelisimamia. Na tumeona kwamba hiyo imeleta afueni, kwa sababu returning officers wanakuelewa zaidi katika ile kazi na wako na nafasi nzuri zaidi ya kujitayarisha. Ila sasa unajua hiyo itamaanisha kwamba chini ya returning officer unajua kuna presiding officers na deputy presiding officers. Kwa hivyo hiyo itamaanisha kwamba tutakuwa tuko na presiding officers na deputy presiding officers ambao wanajitayarishia uchaguzi miaka 5 kabla. Now, maswali ambayo yanakuja kwa akili yangu kwanza ni costs. Je, tuko na uwezo wa kuwalipa watu hawa miaka 5 yote ili waje wafanye kazi ile. Na pili, ni kazi gani ambayo presiding officer atakuwa anafanya kwa miaka hii 5 kabla ya uchaguzi? Kwa sababu unaelewa fika ya kwamba returning officer kuna kazi fulani ambayo anafanya, anahakikisha kwamba register ya mahali pale iko sawa, anahakikisha kwamba kama kuna by election wakati wote amesimamia. Kwa hivyo kuna at least kuelewa kwamba returning officer kuna kazi fulani ambayo anafanya. Presiding officer hapo hatujapata clarity ya kwamba miaka hii 5 yote atakuwa anafanya nini. Ila huyo ndugu ambaye ameuliza mandada ako na point ya kwamba hii maneno ya, kwa sababu wale clerks makarani wa IBC wametumiwa messages Jumapili iliyopita. Wakaanza training wiki iliyopita na inatakikana ya kwamba hiyo training yao waifanyie kazi wiki hii. Nafikiri it is too soon. Mimi kwa upande wangu ninaona kwamba hiyo kazi iwe imefanywa miezi 2-3 kabla ya uchaguzi. Mtu huyu anaelewa kwamba mwaka wa 8 niko na shughuli fulani, na wawe wamefanya mazoezi, wamefanya training ya kisawasawa. Wakati huo ukifika, mtu hujachoka, kwa sababu kwanza kulikuwa wamechoka, wamekuwa training hata Jumapili walikuwa bado wako training mpaka Jumatatu. Kwa hivyo mtu huyu amechoka, hajalala vizuri, na wakati huo tunataka kwamba aingie hiyo kazi na usiku ule tena asilale tena.
Na sidhani kama wanapaswa kufanywa mazoezi na kufundishwa peke yake. Je, kuna haja ya hawa kuweza kuchunguzwa kwa muda kabla ya kupewa kazi? Manake unajua unaweza mpatia mtu kazi ya kuchunga kura za mtu wake, na wewe hujui kwamba labda kwa njia moja au nyingine wana mahusiano, ikawa kosa moja dogo tu ikaturudisha tena nyuma.
Kwa mfano tuko na 46,229 Form 34As prepared by 46,000 presiding officers, and they also have 46,000 deputy presiding officers. Whether you like it or not, kutakuwa na upendeleo, kwa sababu hawa ni Wakenya, ni watu wanaishi humu, wako na nia yao ya kwamba nani anastahili kuwa rais.
Sababu ndo nasema, don't you think lazima kuwe na athara background check?
Nakubaliana na wewe kwamba
kuandikwa ile kazi, manake ni kazi ambayo imesubiriwa kwa miaka 5.
Nakubaliana na wewe kwamba hiyo background check ni lazima, kwa sababu kama pengine wewe ni a life member wa chama fulani, na wewe tumekuona kwa rally ya chama hii, ama pengine tumekuona ukipigania chama hii kwa sehemu kadha wa kadha, halafu sasa unataka kuja kuwa presiding officer, hapo kuna tashwishi kidogo. Kwa hivyo hiyo inakupa muda kama tumesema kwamba tunaanza hiyo process 3 months before, inakuwa rahisi sasa kumwangalia mtu huyu vizuri, ni nani huyu ambaye tunampa shughuli hii.
Lakini pia unapokuwa tunazungumza, wanaotizama pia watakuwa wanasema wale nao pia wanataka tuharibia nafasi za kazi, kwa sababu pia kuna vijana ambao nao wanakaa wanasubiri uchaguzi ukifika, najua na mimi nitapata kazi yangu ya wiki zangu 2 kama karani wa kusimamia IBC. Kwa kuna mtihani hapa, kuna kuwafanya wafanyakazi wa kudumu na kunyima fursa za kazi. Sio, unalizungumziaje Edward?
Rashidi, iko hivi. Ukiangalia wale wengi wamefanya kazi ya ukarani, utakuta wengi walikuwa walimu. Walikuwa wametoka taasisi fulani, wameenda kufanya hizi kazi. Mimi ningesema hivi, huwezi ukawachukua hawa watu wakawa wafanyakazi wa kudumu katika tume ya uchaguzi, kwa sababu ukifanya hivi kama mwenzangu alivyosema, lazima hawa watu walipe. Hawa watu wanaweza kutolewa huku mashinani kwa njia zifuatazo. Kwanza, siku hizi kuna mabarozi wa nyumba kumi.
Lakini kuna swala moja hapo kabla Roba uendelee. Unaweza kuangalia gharama ya kuwalipa wafanyikazi ama makarani wa IBC na ukashindwa kulinganisha gharama ya kuyumbisha taifa.
Hapo ndio anakuja.
Sababu lazima tuangalie kama tungopa gharama ya kulipa wafanyikazi, je, uko sawa na gharama ya kuyumbisha taifa?
Ngoja nikwambie. Unajua uwezi kuwalipa watu ukakaa nao miaka 5 ukiwalipa. Kwa sababu umesikia hawa wa chini, hawa presiding officer na manaibu wao ambao ndio wanasimamia uchaguzi wa awali wa chini kabisa. Sasa ukisema ukae na watu kwa muda wa miaka 5, ina maana ni gharama. hiyo lazima IBC ijipange kwa ajili ya kuwatunza watu hawa. Lakini watu hawa unawahitaji kwa muda mfupi tu, na jinsi ya kuwapata kwanza, sasa hivi kuna watu wa nyumba 10, kuna machifu wanaweza kukwambia huyu tunamjua kwa sababu wao wanamiliki eneo fulani katika uwezo wao wa kuangalia katika governance zao. Wanaangalia uwezo fulani. Kwa hiyo lazima watakuwa wanamjua huyu Rashidi tunamuonaga hapa. Mnamuonaje, huwa anapenda chama gani? Huyu ni mtu wa ODM damu. Huyu ni mtu wa UDA damu. Kwa hiyo lazima watakuwa wanawachunguza kwa staili hiyo. Lakini kitu cha muhimu ni hapa Wakenya waipende nchi yao. Hiyo ndio kitu cha muhimu. Wakenya waipende nchi yao, ndio wanapokwenda kwenye uchaguzi kama huu wajue kwamba wamejitolea kwa ajili ya kuipenda nchi yao. Tofauti na hivyo watajikuta wanaitumbukiza nchi yao kwa sababu ya ushabiki.
Nataka kuongezea kwa swali hilo ambalo umeuliza kwamba je, tuangazie gharama ya kuwalipa.
Tashikilia, tutakuja kwako Ramogi, tuelekee moja kwa moja. Wapi Jeff? Kumbi wa Bomas?
I think tunarudi Bomas, huh?
Naam.
Live to the nerve center, we call it, Bomas of Kenya, IEBC, where I think it's getting new numbers. Yeah, live pictures right there. Let's take a listen.
129. Raila Odinga, 2,024 vote. William Ruto, 55,486. Wahiga Mwaure, 55. George Wajakoya, 105. Madioya constituency in Muranga County. Total registered voters 58,102. Total valid vote cast 38,969. Rejected ballot 262. Raila Odinga 6,293. William Ruto 32,313. Wahiga Mwaure 149. George Wajakoya 240. Marakwet East constituency. Total registered voters 43,672. Valid vote cast 32,686. Raila Odinga 735. William Ruto 31,878. Wahiga Mwaure 31. George Wajakoya 42. Nakuru Town West constituency, Nakuru County. Total registered voters 112,308. Total valid vote cast 70,014. Rejected ballot 628. Raila Odinga 36,824. William Ruto 32,922. Wahiga Mwaure 111. Wajakoya George 209. Kiambu County. Total registered voters 172,139. Total valid vote cast 102,680. Rejected ballot 763. Raila Odinga 32,959. Ruto William 68,695. Wahiga Mwaure 483. Wajakoya George 543. Kitutu Chache North constituency in Kisii County. Total registered voters 56,970. Valid vote cast 34,490. Rejected ballot 447. Raila Odinga 18,649. William Ruto 15,594. Wahiga Mwaure 94. Wajakoya George 158. Oh, sorry, 153. Kikuyu constituency in Kiambu County. Total registered voters 98,758. Total valid vote cast 64,889. Rejected ballot 447. Raila Odinga 16,877. William Ruto 47,145. Wahiga Mwaure 429. Wajakoya David 438. Ndaragwa constituency in Nyandarua County. Now the registered voters are 57,846. Total valid vote cast 38,489. Rejected ballot 315. Raila Odinga 7,271. William Ruto 30,982. Wahiga Mwaure 95. George Wajakoya 141. Kibwezi West constituency in Makueni County. Total registered voters 64,740. Total valid vote cast 37,185. Rejected ballot 244. Raila Odinga 27,072. William Ruto 9,762. Wahiga Mwaure 81. George Wajakoya 270. Maragwa constituency in Muranga County. Total registered voters 102,405. Total valid vote cast 67,713. Rejected ballot 398. Raila Odinga 11,271. William Ruto 55,902. Wahiga Mwaure 216. Wajakoya George 324. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, the arrows corrected me. What I read for Kibwezi West is actually Kibwezi East. Oh, I read this. Keio South in Elgeyo Marakwet constituency, county. Total registered voters 62,397. Valid vote cast 48,132. Rejected ballot 455. Raila Odinga 1,611. William Ruto 46,436. Wahiga Mwaure 30 vote. Wajakoya George 55. We shall come with more. Thank you.
You hear the numbers being crunched by the IEBC commissioners there. Those are live pictures you're seeing from the Nerve Center, the Bomas of Kenya. We're getting numbers in everywhere from Mathioya in Murang'a to Nakuru Town West to Kitutu Church in Kisii, Kikuyu constituency, Ndaragwa constituency, Kerio South, Elgeyo Marakwet. The numbers all keep coming in, and they will be coming in. What do you guys think, Rashid, Lulu? Number crunching continues.
Nafikiri kasi inavyoendelea inatia matumaini. Ukiangalia katika mtandao wa kijamii watu wameweza kutulia, na kitu chengine ambacho ni cha maana zaidi ambacho pia kimeweza kujitokeza ni kwamba kidogo ile watu wamekuwa wanafuatilia tu sasa hivi mambo yanayotangazwa na IEBC. Unajua kitambo ilikuwa mtu anaangalia Jeff ameweka nini, Rashid ameweka nini, labda namba za Jeff ni nzuri, na sasa hivi ni kwamba watu wote wameona kwamba tuachie jukumu hili la IEBC na tuwape kongole wa Kenya. Lakini kwa tunazungumza swala zima la makarani, na kuna hoja ya kwamba ikiwa karani atakuwa mapendekezo ya IEBC, karani atakuwa ametoka mfano eneo la Embakasi, mfano Embakasi East, anapokuwa amepata mafunzo asisimamie uchaguzi wa eneo bunge la Embakasi, lakini anaweza ondolewa akaenda akasimamia uchaguzi eneo mfano la Westlands, kumaanisha kwamba labda hana ule ukaribu unaendelea. Kama ni mtu wako Lungalunga aondolewe ende Kinango, wa Kinango atoke ende Msambweni na alikadhalika. Nafikiri pilo likifanyika na ile gharama mliopo itakuwa inasaidia kwamba hakuna gharama ya kumweka kwa miaka 5, lakini baada tumewafundisha, tumewapeleka mbali na eneo ambalo huenda ikawa maslahi yao na interest zao tumeziondoa.
Ni kweli, kwa sababu unakuta kwamba pengine yule ambaye mara nyingi huwa hupelekwi kwa sehemu ile ambayo unapigia kura, kwa sababu understanding ya IEBC ni kwamba pahali unapigia kura ni nyumbani. Kwa hivyo kama ukipelekwa nyumbani, pengine kuna marafiki wako kadha wa kadha ambao wanawania sehemu na utakuwa unapendelea sehemu ile. Lakini pia ukiwapeleka mbali mno, kwa mfano sasa yule mfano uliopeana kwamba mtu anatoka Embakasi halafu mchukue umpeleke Machakos ama Makueni,
umpeleke Westlands,
sasa inakuwa shida ukiwapeleka mbali mno.
Ukimpeleka nje ya county ndio shida, ukimbakisha katika county inakuwa sawa. Inakuwa
sawa kwa sababu sasa hiyo inamaanisha kwamba you don't also incur transport and accommodation costs for over 200,000 people. Nilikuwa naongelea kuhusu swala nyeti la gharama ya kuwaweka katika employment miaka 5 na gharama kwa taifa kama pengine hawajawekwa pale na ni watu ambao hawana uzoefu. Muhimu, nafikiri swala muhimu ni kwamba je, ni kazi gani watu hawa wanaenda kufanya kwa miaka 5? Kwa sababu kama kuna input muhimu ambao wanaenda kuwekea IEBC kwa miaka 5 wakiwekwa pale, unaweza sema ni gharama ambayo tunaweza beba kama taifa na tukasacrifice tukawaweka. Lakini kama hakuna kazi clear ambayo inaeleweka kwamba hawa presiding officer na deputy presiding officer na pengine makarani wako ofisini miaka 5 wakifanya jambo ABCD, afadhali tuwaajiri miezi 3 kabla ya uchaguzi.
Na pia vile vile manake unatutizama kule nyumbani, unajua tuambia ni kweli, hawa ni ndugu zetu ambao unakuwa karani. Nakumbuka hata sisi wakati wa nyuma, wakati wa marehemu Samuel Kivuitu, nilipata nafasi pia mimi nilikuwa karani. Lakini wangu ulikuwa kwa kuandikisha zile kadi za kupigia kura. Alikuwa nikienda door to door. Wakati huo unachukua ile nailoni, unaweka kale karatasi, alafu nakwenda kuwapigia pasi nyumbani usiku, unawarudishia na wakabidhi. Kwa hiyo nilichangia ujenzi wa taifa wakati wa nyuma nikiwa nasimamia. Lakini kitu kimoja cha msingi ni kwamba kama umepewa jukumu lile, uwajibikaji wako ni muhimu zaidi katika utendakazi wako. Kwa sababu hapo tutasema kwamba labda kuna karani amefanya hivi, lakini tumekupa mafunzo. Kinachosalia nidhamu yako na uwajibikaji wako ni muhimu sana. Hawa vijana ambao watapata hizi kazi siku za usoni, lazima tuwaelimishe. Ushauri wako kwao ni upi?
Mimi nitasema kwanza hivi. Kwanza uwe mzalendo. Unajua kamishina wa tume anavyosoma matokeo haya, na mimi hapo naona najaribu kutupia macho kwenye magazeti haya. Kwa mfano ukiangalia kuna sehemu zingine amekuwa akisoma, unakuta kumbe kuna kura zilipunguzwa zaidi ya 1000, kuna sehemu nyingine zimeongezwa 20, kuna sehemu zingine labda zimepunguzwa mpaka 10,000. Unashindwa kwa nini zilikuwa zinapunguzwa? Ina maana hawa watu hawakuwa wazalendo. Mimi kitu ninachowaomba wa Kenya, unapokwenda kufanya kitu hichi, fanya kitu kwa haki yako, kwa sababu unachokifanya kile ndio kitakuwa majibu ya maisha ya familia yako baadaye. Kwa sababu wewe unafanya ukiona unafanya vizuri, lakini in future watoto wako ndio watabeba mzigo ule ambao uliwatengenezea wewe. Ukiwa mzalendo, unaipenda nchi yako, fanya haki.
Yeah, and sometimes it seems like elections are not a life and death matter, are they, Ramogi? They're not life and death. Life goes on.
Life goes on during and after the elections. And I think that's why we've been putting a lot of emphasis on de-emotionalizing elections, so that it's not an emotional thing that makes people overly excited. Take it, I think Mandago put it in very simple terms. Put it in the lungs, breathe it out. After the elections, go back to what you were doing. And that's okay. But before we close the show, Lulu had pointed out something that I want to celebrate as well. The sterling performance by women. We have women governors already.
But usiende huko bado. Manake kuna jumbe ambao tumeweza kuipata kutoka kaunti ya Nakuru. Wanasema bwana Kinyanjui anaenda mahakamani.
It's okay.
Yeah, anasema kwamba hakubali matokeo ambayo yaliweza kutolewa hapo jana. Kwa hivyo basi anasema ataenda mahakamani.
Tusikize anachokisema.
Shukran.
Are you ready? Yes. We have seen an unnatural pattern of how people voted. We have cases where you have a voting center with 3 or 4 streams, and the 3 streams each vote exactly the same number. So 90, 90, 90, or 150, 150, 150. And given that some of these places were divided alphabetically, it is not possible that an exact same number of people would have agreed and distributed themselves equally into the different, streams. Therefore, that points to a very unnatural voting pattern. We have also noted inconsistencies in the different county seats between women rep, governor, senator, and also the president, which simply means that there are people, mathematically speaking, who voted for the president but never voted for anyone else. Others voted for president and governor and voted not for the others. And I think the worst affected is the women rep. So the question would be, what happened to that voter after voting for the presidency? No, how do they disappear in the queue before they vote for the other 2 or 3? And I think that is a very serious issue that requires serious forensic before we can be able to unveil. And this vote manipulation is a very serious challenge to our voting process, and I think also a serious threat to even to our national security. If you allow this kind of fraudsters into the nation, then we don't know where we are going next.
Naam, Miliki Nyanjui hapa akizungumza na wanahabari akiuliza maswali mengi. Anasema inakuwaje idadi kubwa ya watu ambao walionekana wamepiga kura wakawa wamepigia rais peke yake na sio ya gavana wala mbunge wala mwakilishi wodi.
Na bila shaka nafikiri ni swala ambalo si hatuwezi kulizungumzia sana, lakini kwa Kenya ni kwamba tulikuwa tunazungumza kwamba aliye na tashwishi aelekea mahakamani. Kwa kumalizia tu kwamba sio Nakuru peke yake, hata Wavinya Ndeti ana kikosi cha seneta naye mwanamke na pia mwakilishi wa wadi ambaye yuko hapo ndani, mwakilishi wa mwanamke pia ambaye kuna watatu katika nyadhifa muhimu za kaunti. Tuzungumze kuhusiana na hatua zilizopigwa na dada zetu na mama zetu.
Wamepiga hatua si haba.
Unajua mwanzo ukisema hivyo wanakasirika, maana anasema ni kama mnasema watu uko nyuma. Kwa tuseme tu maendeleo yanayoendelea.
No, ni hatua kubwa kwa sababu utakuta kwamba 2017 tulikuwa na wamama watatu peke yao wakiwa magavana. Sasa hiyo idadi imepanda. Gladys Wanga anawakilisha Homa Bay, kuna dada ameshinda pale Kwale, kuna Wavinya Ndeti, kuna Cecily Mbarire Embu, Kawera wa Meru. Kawera. Na nafikiri ni jambo la kusherehekea kwamba uzuri wa kuwa na siasa za amani ni kwamba wamama na vijana wanaweza kuparticipate equally and evenly na wakapata nafasi nzuri ya kuwakilisha wananchi na kupeana uongozi wao. Na unakuta kwamba si ugavana peke yake, tumeona ugavana, tumeona useneta, tumeona hata sehemu nyingi wabunge wameebuka kwamba ni wamama. Na hii ni kitu ya kusherehekea na tunawatakia kila laheri wale wamama ambao wameshinda.
Lakini vile vile pamoja na kuwa wameshinda, swali langu linakuja, je, wanaenda kutenda kazi kuwashangaza wanaume au wanakwenda kukaa tu ili mradi walichagua?
Mbona usiulize mwanamume kama anaenda kutenda kazi? Uliza mwanamke kama anaenda kutenda.
Unajua wakienda wakifanya kazi.
Tumezungumza kuhusu magavana.
Ndio nakuja sasa hapa. Unajua wanaume ni wafanya kazi.
Tumezungumza kuhusu, tumeona pale tukizungumza kuhusu Mutula Kilona Junior, tumeweza kuona kuuliza swali kama hili.
No, unasikiliza na nina shida. Tulikuwa na Joyce Laboso, marehemu Joyce Laboso. Nafikiri akiwa Bomet watu wengi walimpenda sana kwa sababu alikuwa mchapa kazi sana. Tumekuwa na Charity Ngilu, ameonyesha ni jinsi gani anaweza akafanya. So hao waliochaguliwa nao waenda wakaonesha, je, wamama mnaweza au wamama sisi tunaweza. Kwa hiyo kaunti nyingine wachagua, kwa mfano mimi kaunti yangu inakuwa noma kwa kuweka mwanamke na
kaunti zote ziko noma.
Kaunti ya Migori.
Ukiona wametoka 3 kwenda
kaunti ya Migori. Wajipange.
That's more than double. That's more than double. Utafika.
Watafikiwa. Mimi nataka kuongeza hili
kwa sekunde tukimaliza.
Kwa sekunde kwamba hawa wamama wamechaguliwa kwa sababu wako na uweza, wako na utendakazi. Hawakuchaguliwa kwa sababu ni wamama. Ila hiyo ni jinsia yao tu. Manake unakuta kwamba hata Suluhu yule wa Tanzania alisema kwamba kwanza yeye ni amri jeshi mkuu wa majeshi ya Tanzania. Pili ako ni jinsia yake ni ya kimwanamke.
Mwanzo umenikumbusha ukizungumzia swala la Tanzania, Rashid. Ni vizuri pia watu wajue wametoa kongole sana kwa jinsi uchaguzi nchini Kenya umeweza kufanywa na tume ya IEBC. Manake kwa wanasema ni jambo ambalo hawajaliona. Hawajaiona kwamba tunapiga kura tunaona matokeo.
Lakini mama huyo akumbuke kwamba sasa hivi anakwenda kwenye mchakato wa katiba. Sasa wanaenda
tushikilia hapo, tutashikilia hapo, tutakuja kuendeleza kesho Ishana Rose Kiwai. Lakini ikifika siku Jeff, tukiona dada zetu wameteuliwa na tuseme kwamba huyu ni kiongozi wa Mombasa, ni kiongozi wa Narok, bila kuweka jinsia, ndio siku itakuwa tumeendelea kama taifa. Lakini kwa tunashtuka kwamba kuna magavana wawili wanawake, inamaanisha tuko nyuma sana kama taifa. Siku tukiwajua kama viongozi bila kuweka jinsia, itakuwa ni siku Jeff, mimi nitasema tuende mahali tusherekee na kikombe cha chai. Kwa sasa hivi bado tuko nyuma kama taifa.
Absolutely, you're so 100% right. And as we wind up our shift, we thank you, gentlemen, so much for being a part of this. Thank you, Rashid. It's been a great shift, and we're looking at live pictures from the nerve center itself, the Bomas of Kenya, where the tallying continues, folks. The commissioners announcing constituency after constituency, and keep it locked, keep it tuned to Citizen TV, because we'll be bringing you the latest. And what the IEBC says is what counts, not what anybody else says. So keep it locked, keep it Citizen Television. Thanks so much for being a part of our rolling coverage. And our coverage continues in a moment.
Naam, tukiwa tunasubiri the fat lady.
Hajaanza.
Kabisa.
Semiki, tunakamilisha si tukisema kwamba hapa ulipo ndipo unastahili kuwepo na usiwe na wasiwasi, na yale yaliyopo utayapata hapa. Tusikie mwenyekiti Wafula Chebukati.
Asante.
Now, we appreciate the efforts and the work being done here at the National Tallying Center. But as a commission, we wish to make the following adjustments to the process. The commission has observed that the process being undertaken is taking about 3 to 4 hours to process one returning officer. So far, we have 265 returning officers who have reported to this center, the National Tallying Center, and approximately 141 returning officers have been processed, leaving 124 who are still on the queue, as you can see on this side. As a result of this process flow, some of our returning officers have stayed here for 3 days, sitting on those chairs, which is totally unacceptable. So in order to optimize the process and guarantee faster processing of the results, and to be able for us to meet our constitutional timelines for processing of the presidential results, the Commission has reviewed the results process flow as follows. 1, the returning officers who are on the queue shall proceed to hand over the original result to the National Returning Officer immediately after this announcement. Thereafter, they report to the ICT desk for verification of the transmitted results from 34As against the original from 34As. We shall have sufficient ICT desks. I believe they are there to process them immediately. And thereafter, the presidential agents will be given copies of the results from 34As and from 34Bs for their own use. And in the event that you require the original documents, they'll be available on the desks for verification. So we are simply reversing the flow of the process which is ongoing. And we believe that this will fasten the process, and we should be able to dispose of with the returning officers in the course of today so they can go and do other duties. So thank you for your cooperation, and I want to invite Professor Agulier, who is in charge of this tallying center, to make some further announcements.
We wish to announce further changes to access to Bomas and to National Tally Center as well. From this minute forward, this Tally Center will only allow presence of agents, of presidential agents, the people that will help them in the work that is ongoing at the floor of the Tally Center, the chief agents, the deputy chief agents, and the clerks that are verifying, doing the verification process on the floor of the House. Nobody else will be allowed to sit in this auditorium from this minute on. We are also saying at the gate, we have given instructions, nobody should access this venue. And so from now on, if you are on the dais, on the terrace, and you are not a chief agent, a deputy chief agent, or the assistant to the chief agents by way of legal advice, and if you are not a clerk working on the floor of this Tally Center, can you please find your way out of the Tally Center? And that is the instructions we have given to the police. In addition to presidential agents and the clerks, observers are allowed to stay, and the diplomats only. I think all the media have a corner. You are free to stay and cover as you wish. Okay. The returning officers on the stairs, on the dais, please can you make a queue way to the chairman immediately. This is in accordance with the numbers they were given when they arrived. The process that is ongoing, those arrows who are already on the desks, please complete that process on the desks.
All right, thank you so much for staying tuned to Kenya's Choice 2022. My name is Sam Gituko, and what we were just listening to was the address from the Bomas of Kenya. Wafula Chebukati, the chairman of IBC and the returning officer of the presidential election, addressing the people that are on that floor, but also Professor Abdi Guliye, who is the commissioner in charge of operations and responsible for the National Tallying Center, making that announcement that every person who is not an agent, not an IBC official that is involved in the verification process, not an observer, not a member of the media, should leave the auditorium. And most specifically, the politicians who are there with no specific duty, they've been asked to leave that space so that there's minimal disruption on that process that has been going on since the day before yesterday. Wafula Chebukati also indicated that he is concerned that it's taking at least 1 hour to process one returning officer from the 290 constituencies. And therefore he also indicated that so far 265 returning officers have already reported to the Bomas of Kenya. And out of those, 141 have been processed, but there are still some 124 that are still waiting in the queue. And so Wafula Chebukati is saying that they will be received by himself as the presidential election returning officer. He will receive their documentation, and then they proceed to the verification table to be in a position to compare the original forms 34A versus what was transmitted electronically. That will be done by the IBC officials, and thereafter the agents of the 4 presidential candidates will get an opportunity to look at the report from that, and if they have any concerns, they'll be in a position to raise them. But also indicating that the agents, if they want to have access to the original forms 34A, they'll get an opportunity to do that. But that will be after the verification exercise has been conducted. And of course, now with that instruction that any person who has no specific duty at the Bomas of Kenya has to leave, of course, you saw some of the politicians standing up there and of course expressing their dissatisfaction. But those are the instructions from the IEBC team, and specifically some of the political leaders from the Azimio team have been seen opposing those instructions. But at the moment, it appears that the commissioners have taken a back seat, left the space so that those instructions can be enforced. So they are saying that, Wafula Chebukati is saying that he hopes that they can conclude the process of receiving the returning officers and processing them. But at the end of the day, remember that the law accords IEBC up to 7 days to conclude this process, announce and declare the outcome of a presidential election, and that is expected to happen by Monday, being the 7th day since the 9th of August 2022. And of course, several results have been announced in the past few hours at the Bomas of Kenya. And of course, there has been a lot of attention on that particular process, with people raising questions, and of course also taking note of what is being announced by the IEBC as the official tally that will comprise Form 34C, which is the summary of presidential election results from all the 290 plus 1 constituencies, the extra 1 being from the diaspora that comprises some 12 countries that had 27 polling stations combined, and the returning officer for the diaspora vote is obviously based in Nairobi. You can see on your screen that is Charity Ngilu, one of the leaders who is protesting the instructions by Abdi Guliye, the commissioner, that they should leave if they have no business or specific duty at the Bomas of Kenya. And of course, we'll continue to watch and see how those instructions will be implemented. It's been a busy day. Earlier on, there was a press briefing or rather there was a meeting, a conference of elected leaders from the Azimio la Umoja team at the KICC, and them expressing their hope that they'll emerge successful in this process, but also saying that they have work to do. And of course, the final announcement will have to come from the IEBC, who will declare what the outcome is based on the process that you see on the screen, a verification exercise that has taken quite a lot of hours. Yesterday, Wafula Chebukati had announced that he was hoping that every returning officer would spend up to 15 minutes to be in a position to be processed and cleared so that this process can be expedited. But clearly, it appears that hasn't worked, and that's why Wafula Chebukati is saying that he regrets that the process is taking close to an hour for every returning officer. They have a couple of desks, but they may not be enough if the process is to continue so slow as the deadline beckons come Monday. And I'm not in studio alone. I am also with Mona Hamisi Hamadi and Yvonne Okwara, who will be joining us to continue this coverage of Kenya's choice that we have done since the day of the election. Actually, the day before the election, just to bring you up to speed on what is happening. And of course, the latest in as far as different races are concerned. You've seen a lot of activity across the country with different constituency races being declared for the member of National Assembly. We have also seen a lot of work going on in the counties, several county races for governor, senate, woman representative declared in several of the counties, getting to see the changes that we are witnessing, some new names coming on board, some old guards coming back to their seats after having lost in the previous election or elections. And so it has been an interesting mix of what this election has meant to the careers of many politicians. Some are contented, some have already conceded a defeat and wish their successors the very best, but also there are some that are questioning the process in what appears like laying the grounds for contesting such kind of outcomes at different election courts in the coming days. And of course, if anyone has any claim on an election, for instance, if it's an MCA election, they can contest that decision at the magistrate's court, and thereafter, if they are still dissatisfied, they can appeal against such the High Court moving upwards. But primarily for other elections, if they have an issue, they would have to go to the High Court. But for the presidential election, if anyone is dissatisfied, they'll have to go to the Supreme Court, which is the only election court for the presidential election, and it happens in form of a petition that is guided by specific timelines to be determined. So on your screen, you see some of the leaders that are still there negotiating with the, or rather appear to be negotiating with the security managers at the National Tallying Center. You can see outgoing Governor of Kitui, Charity Ngilu. You can see the Member of Parliament for Roraka, that is TJ Kajwang. You see the Secretary General of ODM, that is Edwin Sifuna, and of course trying to have a word with the officials that are there. But of course the announcement has been very clear that if you are not an IEBC official required for the verification exercise, if you are not an agent of a political party or presidential election that has been accredited, or rather a presidential campaign who has been accredited for this exercise, if you are not an observer from whichever organization but accredited by IEBC, or if you're not a media person who has also been accredited by IEBC, then you have no business being in that National Tallying Center, and therefore they have to leave. And of course, like I told you earlier, I am not alone in studio. I am with Yvonne Okwara. Good afternoon, Yvonne.
Good afternoon, Sam Gituku, and yes, a great update on what's going on and the interesting events that are taking place on the floor. I guess now we have an indication of how long it's taking to process each returning officer.
Right.
Did the chair say an hour?
Yep. He said an hour, and I mean, that's painful because
it is.
If they're yet to process 121 returning officers.
That's 121 hours.
So those are 121 hours. So supposing they have 8 desks, so let's see how many hours those would be. Those are 15 hours. So that means if they are to continue working throughout the night, the earliest that can be concluded is at, is this 7 a.m. tomorrow?
Yeah.
15 hours from now?
Yeah.
But Wafula Chebukati is saying that he wants this concluded by the end of today. So
okay,
it's quite a task ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so, because he'd said the same thing. He lamented the same thing yesterday, I believe, and said, you know, that things should happen a little faster, and he decried the slow pace of processing the returning officers. And I think you, Sam, and Francis Gashuri yesterday took us through the very elaborate process.
Right.
You know, from the registration desk to the first desk with the verification, the validation, and even there where, you know, they would be taking a look at the security features and, of course, taking a look at whether these are actually tallying and getting together. So, you know, some of those things that that are so painstaking, but you know, are really important. I mean, you know, you could get through this process really fast and then have disputes afterwards, or you could, you know, take your time. And I guess all of this is what is informing the circular that came out today from the Ministry of Education, once again postponing the reopening
of schools.
Yeah, which was supposed to happen on Monday, but now they've pushed that to Thursday. I mean, certainly by then, the announcement will be made, because by then the constitutional deadline requiring the declaration of the presidential results should certainly be done and concluded with. But this is a slow process. What do you make, Sam, because you've been on the tallying floor of now, you know, first of all, the commissioners had said, if you have nothing to do on the tallying floor, you can sit up on the seats in the amphitheater. Now saying even those who are on, you know, on the seats there now just completely exit the amphitheater. What do you make of that? An attempt to sort of make this go faster, or, you know, less disputes and interference?
I think this must be informed, because while I was there, at least I witnessed 2 episodes of discomfort from the different leaders and personalities that were there. Some of them were, actually I witnessed 3. Well, the first one was involving the woman representative for Uasin Gishu, that is Gladys Boss, who had been moving up and down on the floor of the verification. And so some of the agents, some of the political leaders from the Azimio side were saying that she is rather being too busy on the floor of the House, and they don't trust what she was doing. But of course, she came out to defend herself. Then the other incident was a situation where we saw one official of IBC had a laptop, was moving in and out of the auditorium. Then some of the political leaders were saying that we do not trust what he's doing with the laptop, because you cannot come in holding a laptop, you go out there, then you still have to come back to the verification table. So actually that laptop was taken over by one of the political leaders and taken to the IBC commissioners, but eventually we saw it was sort of returned to that official. Then the other one was an altercation. You see some people just start shouting to the floor, the verification floor. And so I think this is what is informing this decision, such that Wafula Chebukati is saying that because they are not serving any purpose in the verification process, then they are better off the floor of the auditorium itself, so that at least now that process can be allowed to move smoothly. And of course, again, Mwanahamisi Hamadi is here. Hujambo Mwanahamisi?
Sijambo sana, nashukuru. Najua siku zinasonga, wananchi wana hamu ya kujua tu ni nani atakayetangazwa kuwa rais hivi sasa. Sivyo Yvonne? Manake washajua magavana wao, wala ambao hata hawajatangazwa rasmi pia wanajua ni kina nani. Hivi sasa kiwewe kiko katika kinyang'anyiro cha urais.
Kweli kabisa.
Alafu hapa
wanajua ni nani watawakilisha katika county ya bunge, katika county ward, county assembly, kwenye bunge, seneti, all of those.
County ya bunge.
Bas.
Naam, yapo
hujakosea. So sikukosea.
Hujakosea, kama nikakwambia naam.
You know, when I'm standing around you, I need to be very careful. And then niko karibu na wewe na Sam Gituku.
Bunge la county, eh?
Bunge la county.
Bunge la county, sio? Sijakosea.
You're right. County assembly, county.
Kuna kitu nani wamezungumza tafadhali. Yvonne, kuna kitu Sam hapa amegusia. Ile watu wanakosa subra mpaka wanakwenda katika ukumbi pale. Unadhani pengine ni kitu gani ambacho kimechangia? Na mwanzo, katika historia ya taifa la Kenya ishawahi kushuhudiwa kwamba matokeo yamechukua muda mrefu kama hii kuweza kutolewa?
Siasa, and it's emotive. I think that's what we say. Yesterday when we were with Waihiga, what did he say? By yesterday, in 2017, the result had already been announced.
Oh yes.
Yes, but I think it was
on a Friday.
It was on a Friday.
11th of August 2017.
Exactly. Kwa hivyo sasa things have delayed quite a bit, and of course that's why unaona kuna emotions nyingi, watu wako pale, no, you know, there's this, there's that, and everything is being contested. Na nafikiria pia, it is due to the Supreme Court petition of 2017. So kila mtu yuko makini pale.
No.
Is this the right signature? Is this the right number? Where is this? Huyu ambaye anatembea hapa na laptop, your laptop ina kazi gani? What are they doing? So, I mean, obviously, when you come from a history and a context like 2017, 2022, kila mtu yuko macho, everybody wants to be sure that, you know, the vote is done. And I think also because this is a transition, yeah, tunatoka from, you know, one administration to a new one. Yeah. So kila mtu has a high stake, you know, in the outcome of this election. And so that's what it is. The commissioners wako na kazi ngumu, which is to make sure that they manage emotions and not just of the people in there, because I'm sure even there, the temperatures are high, but also of the country. So they have the 7 days constitutional time frame.
Ambayo inakamilika lini?
Is it Monday midnight or Tuesday?
It should be Monday, I think, because if you have to count Tuesday, the day of the election, as the first day of the election, then you have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Monday. Yes.
So by midnight Monday, they must have declared. Okay. But remember, there was a promise by Wafula Chebukati. This time round, we'll announce the results during the day.
Yeah.
So,
kwa hivyo tutarajie Jumatatu mchana.
Yeah.
Tutarajie.
Or yes, kwa kesho pia.
Hata kesho itawezekana.
Because what did the chair say today? He wants to conclude all of that validation by leo siku.
Yes, amesema by the end of today.
Yeah.
But it's already 4:30. I don't know the chance of being able to do that.
But they're working overnight, aren't they? They're working through the night.
Well, today ends at midnight.
Well, today ends tomorrow at 6, depending on which way.
That's about 8 hours from now. Actually, 7 hours and a half.
Yeah. So
we'll wait to see.
Yeah.
Sawa mtazamaji, basi tunachukua mapumziko yetu ya kwanza, kisha tutarejea. Na tukirejea, pengine Sam, itabidi upande huo uweze kutueleza kufikia sasa IEBC imeweza kujumuisha matokeo ya maeneo bunge mangapi, na pengine ni mangapi ambayo yanatarajiwa. Manake na hakika pale mtazamaji anayetutazama kwa hivi sasa hamu yake ni kujua hii kitu tunamaliza saa ngapi. Sawa. Yote hayo ni baada ya muda usokuwa mrefu. Makinika ulipo.
Ngoma gani?
Ina Gloria. Alafu kuna hii. Hii sasa ndio ile noma. Alafu imetoka leo.
Nyosha shilingi zaidi na zaidi. Sasa unapata ofa juu ya ofa. Nyakua 100% data bonus leo. Imarisha maisha on the fastest and most reliable 4G network in Kenya. Alafu piga star 544# au tembelea My Safaricom app kununua bundle na kupata target yako. Safaricom is for you.
Shabiki Jackpot Mbao wiki hii. Cheza mechi hizi ili ushinde 21,029,102 shillings. Shabiki Jackpot Mbao, the easiest jackpot in Kenya.
Strictly not for persons under the age of 18. Betting can be addictive. Play responsibly.
Shabiki.com is authorized and regulated by the BCLB. License number 416.
You are the leader in air and ground ambulance services. 60 years seems but another sunrise. We excel in speed of response, peace of mind, and quality of care by giving you affordable Maisha Medical Evacuation Plan. For as low as 2,500 per year, you have access to unlimited air and ground medical evacuation services within Kenya. Amref Flying Doctors, we are there for you. We go where no one else goes. Call 020-699-2100 or log on to www.flydoc.org.
Hi everyone. It's not good news. We'll definitely be seeing difficult times ahead for the business. But with all that being said, honey.
Hi.
I really need to finish this meal. Okay, I'll have one.
Why does the lady have stars on her face?
I don't know, but you can't ask them.
First you twist it, and then you lick it, and then you dunk it, and then you eat it. Now get back to work.
Thank you, Mama.
High-quality detergents are designed to clean clothes even better from deep down at the fiber level.
Doffy Strong enzymatic particles remove stains easily. Microcapsule fragrance goes into fibers and give you lasting freshness for the whole day.
Colorful day, wonderful scent.
Ni mimi na wewe pamoja tuungane. One nation, one people. Hamjambo wa Kenya, jina langu ni Vanessa Gwandaru. Ukitaka wimbo huu kama sikiza tune yako, bonyeza *811 *344#. Kumbuka, sikiza na Citizen ni nyumbani kwa wasanii wote.
Drink a cup of hot tea to help reduce bloating during your period.
Soft Care Petal Care has a floating design that perfectly fits. It reduces 70% friction on skin, absorbs fully and blocks leakages from both sides.
Soft Care, yeah.
Stubborn dark marks? Stop. Discover the power of vitamin C with the new Garnier Even and Matte Booster Serum, a highly concentrated serum that deeply penetrates, clinically proven to reduce dark marks by 43%. Get even glowing skin from day 6. New Garnier Even and Matte Vitamin C Booster Serum by Garnier. Naturally.
And those are live pictures from the Nairobi County Tallying Center. That's at the Kasarani Gymnasium. That final declaration from Nairobi as well, which has taken quite some time, but it's looking like today is the day. We'll get, the formal final declarations from Nairobi County. We are also keeping an eye, not just on the Nairobi County Tallying Center, but on the National Tallying Center. That's at the Bomas of Kenya. That is also happening right now with returning officers who are there having their results, their Forms 34A, Form 34B, verified, validated for the declaration to take place. And this is the screen that you are seeing, and this is live from the Bomas of Kenya. And of course the screens are up showing now that tally of votes, and this is based on those constituencies whose forms have been validated. Sam?
Right, and it's been very interesting this time around because in 2017, the August election, you recall that people could tell where the election was headed as soon as polling stations started closing. But this time around, Kenyans have waited. And even now, if you're looking forward to getting a total from the IEBC based on the constituencies that have been reported, it's coming in so slowly. As I was leaving Bomas of Kenya last evening, they had only declared, or rather tabulated, the totals of 2 million votes, of course, splitting them between Raila Odinga, William Ruto, David Wahiga More, as well as Roots Party's Professor Wajakoya. So what you see on your screen, this appears like some of the constituencies, and of course the series of them, looking at the voter turnout. You also see the total valid votes. You'll also see the percentage share for that. So very different from what you've seen previously, Mwana Hamisi.
Na bila shaka, na kuna kitu ambacho nadhani kinazidi kuwapatia wananchi tumbo joto. Manake tukiangalia katika mitandao ya kijamii, unakuta kwamba kila mrengo unajipiga kifua ukisema kwamba wao wameshinda. Ukija mrengo huu wanasema sisi ndo tumeshinda, wengine wanasema sisi ndo tumeshinda. Kwa hivyo inampatia yule mtazamaji ama Mkenya ambaye amepiga kura hali ngumu ya kuweza kuamua pengine kusema ni kitu gani ambacho kitakuwa kinajiri kwa sasa. Na ndio maana basi hapa ndani ya studio tunao wachanganuzi ambao watatusaidia itatusaidia kuweza kufafanua mambo kama hayo. Maanake unajua tukizungumza sisi kama wanahabari kupeana maoni yetu, itakuwa na sisi tunaegemea pengine upande mmoja na upande mwingine ambao itakuwa ni kitu ambacho hakikubaliki. Pengine Yvonne uweze pengine utueleze wageni wetu kwa sasa ambao wameingia ni kina nani na pengine tunatarajia nini haswa kutoka kwao.
Tuko na Kai Kissinger na Bwana Bobby Mkangi. Both are advocates and have an understanding of the law. Kai Kissinger has observed several elections around the region. Bobby Mkangi, if there's anybody who knows or understands the Constitution, this is the man. And it's the Constitution of Kenya that is guiding us throughout this entire process. So it'll be interesting to hear, where we are. Are we following the procedure? Are we following the process? And also to get a comparison of how we are running this process so far versus how others have done it, and perhaps get perspective on how other countries have run their elections, and perhaps some of the areas that we can improve on as we continue with this process towards that final declaration of who will be the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Sam.
And of course, I will be getting to have a feel of what they're saying, but if you're joining us at this moment, what just transpired at the Bomas of Kenya is that there was an announcement from the IEBC commissioners led by Chairman Wafula Chebukati, him decrying the slow pace of the processing of returns from the constituencies. He says that so far 265 returning officers have already reported to the Bomas of Kenya, that is at the National Tallying Center, and therefore so far they have processed 141 such personalities or such officials. On the queue are 124 returning officers who've been waiting for the last 2 to 3 days, according to the chairman, and he says that this should not continue. Instead, they are going to fast-track the process, because so far it's been taking about an hour for every returning officer, so they have to change how that is being done. So once the returning officer comes, he will be received by the presidential election returning officer, that is Wafula Chebukati, and that is a serious process, because on the Form 34B that you see even from the portal that we have of IBC, it has a place for signing where it's handing over, taking over. So you'll see the returning officer signing that he's handing over. He also indicates how many Forms 34As he's submitting, and of course has to append his signature. Then on the taking over process, Wafula Chebukati has also to sign to say that indeed I have received this many 34As, this 34B, and so both of them will sign at both places. Then therefore now Wafula Chebukati says that that will be the first point of call once they get to the
registration desk? Yes, at the registration
desk. No. Yes, you register, then you proceed to the chairman, Wafula Chebukati, who receives the handing over, taking over. Then now the returning officers proceed to the ICT desks. And that's where they will be now taking the physical Form 34As, the original ones, which will be matched against what was received from the portal. And if there are any issues, then they will be reported. And thereafter, the agents of the presidential candidates, but also from political parties, will be in a position to receive a report. If they have any concerns or issues, they can raise them with the commission officials, and then also they can get an opportunity to even access the original forms if there's any question that they may want to raise.
So just to understand, the national returning officer, who is Wafula Chebukati, actually signs that he has received from each of the 290 returning officers?
Correct. Because he is the returning officer.
Yeah, the national returning officer.
Yes, and there's no deputy returning officers.
There's no deputy national returning officer?
No.
So it's just one?
Yes, it's just one.
All right. So, I mean, that's an interesting process. Kakai, what do you make of everything that has happened so far? Of course, there's anxiety. IBC has to walk the tightrope between doing this as fast as they possibly can to, meet the expectations of Kenyans, but also he has to get it right. How do you think they've conducted themselves so far?
I think we need to reflect where Wafula Chebukati is coming from. And I think people are seeing the fact that it's a little bit slow in terms of announcing the results or verifying these things. But remember, Wafula Chebukati has been guided many occasions, especially with the Supreme Court, on how we should conduct the election. And this being the second election that he's conducting, then he's being very cautious, because the fact of that the election must be simple and verifiable. So the process that we are going through is actually the process of verifiability, because it needs to verify everything that has come in and before they announce the results. So in terms of but you also remember that he has 7 days in which to do this. Huh?
Yeah.
The election was on Tuesday, so the final day is on Monday. Come rain, come shine, he must announce. I think the measures that he has put in place right now to remove most people from the tallying center is just to make the workflow go faster and all that. So it's basically the test of verifiability, which he must stick to because of the Supreme Court decision. He does not want to make any error. So in so far as he has done, I think they have conducted themselves above average, very well, in terms of what we are all seeing, and he's sticking just to that.
Tell me, many comparisons are being made. Look, so it's not the entire electoral process that is electronic. I mean, we identify our voters electronically, we vote manually, but we transmit the results electronically. And so some say, well, at least this should have hastened the process. So when you take a look at even, bigger democracies like the US, and they're able to know who their leaders are the very next day, or even at the very least by that evening.
The election night.
Yes. So how does ours compare? Why does ours take so long? I mean, aren't those other jurisdictions doing elections that are free, fair, verifiable? Why should ours take this long?
I think it speaks to two things. One is last election we had about 40,000 polling stations. Right now we're having about 46,000 polling stations. The number of registered voters compared to last election and this election has tremendously increased. So it speaks to just how we have been unable to move along with technology. But secondly, is the fact that Kenyans, we focus so much on the presidential ballot, and there's so much interest there, but also compounded with the fact that there's no trust at all in the very institutions that we have established under the law. So it's more of a trust issue as opposed to efficiency in managing the election.
Okay. Yeah, and that's an interesting place. Bobby, you want to chip in just a little bit, because we want to go to the Nairobi tallying center real quick.
Sorry, I just wanted to add to the fact that we must remember that the transmission of results from the polling station and those are the final results are actually more for the aspect of transparency, so that those are veiled to everyone. And that's why we still have the returning officers, and the physical forms having to come to Nairobi for verification. So the transmission, which is electronic, which is digital, speaks to the fact that here in Kenya, we use technology not so much for efficiency, but to mitigate or to plug in the deficiency of trust that we have in our processes. And so at the end of the day, it is still pretty much a physical process, and that's why it's taking time at Bomas, that people have to come all the way from all corners of the country to come and present physical forms.
Which have already been transmitted.
Yes, exactly, and that's why it takes time. But again, it speaks to the history of our country and our elections. And that's why Kenyans provided these 7 days for the IEBC chairperson to take his or her time to consider everything that is before him or her before announcing. So it's better to take time and announce the correct thing than to hurry up and we've seen what happens if we get it wrong at this level. So far, as my brother Kaikai was saying, I think Chairman Chebukati, he has 7 days. Why not exhaust them and deliver something to Kenyans that will be credible and acceptable to the majority?
Okay, that's right. So let's continue to get some of those results. Mwanahamisi?
Na bila shaka naarifiwa kwamba kwa sasa tunakwenda moja kwa moja hadi katika ukumbi wa Kasarani ambako mwanahabari wetu Faisal Ahmed amekuwa akifuatilia shughuli zinavyoendelea. Kwa sasa basi tuungana naye ili aweze kutupasha ni yapi tu. Faisal, hali iko namna gani? Shughuli hiyo kujumlisha hizo kura imefikia wapi, na pengine kwa faida tu ya mtazamaji, ni viongozi gani wa ngazi zile za juu ambao tayari wamekabidhiwa vyeti vyao?
Naam, asante sana Mwanahamisi, na ningeomba uweze kunikubalia niendelee kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Now in the county tallying center we have so far received 11 of the constituency returning officers presenting their documents for final tallying here at the county tallying center before we actually get the numbers, and the numbers are tabulated and added so that we can get the winners for the gubernatorial, Senate and women representative seats. Now, a few moments ago, the returning officer for Roysambu constituency came in, and in the governorship position, we have Johnson Sakaja, who garnered 63,175 votes. Polycarp Igathe garnering 24,981 votes. In the Senate seat, we have Edwin Sifuna with 28,723, and Margaret Wanjiru or rather leading in that particular race with 55,625. In the women representative seat, Millicent Omanga managed to get 59,015 votes, bringing her total votes to 423,041 votes. Esther Pasares managed to get 28,458 votes, bringing her to the lead with 475,452 votes. Now, cumulatively, Johnson Sakaja is ahead in the gubernatorial seat with 499,000 votes, 378. Polycarp Igathe coming in at second with 392,025 votes, almost a gap of 100,000. And also Edwin Sifuna with 485,155 votes, and Margaret Wanjiru with 382,216 votes. Now, initially we had 11 constituencies that had already presented their papers before the IBC officials here at the County Tallying Center. However, a few moments ago, the RO or the returning officer for Starehe constituency and Westlands have come in. So we will be expecting results from those two constituencies, leaving us with 3 constituencies before we get to know who is actually the winner and given the certificate for the 3 different positions, that is gubernatorial, Senate and women representative. Mwanahamisi.
Na asante sana mtazamaji. Hapo Faisal Ahmed alikuwa anatuchambulia kidogo kidogo tu namna yale matokeo ya kujumlisha kura yanavyoendelea, na kama alivyosema ni kwamba kufikia sasa bado hakuna ambaye amekabidhiwa cheti, lakini kulingana na vile mambo yalivyo ni kwamba Sakaja anaongoza katika zile kura ambazo tayari zimejumlishwa kwenye kiti cha ugavana, Sifuna akiwa naye anashikilia nafasi ya mbele kule katika kiti cha useneta, na Esther Pasaris akiwa naye anaongoza katika kiti cha uwakilishi wa kike. Lakini hao ni matokeo ambayo wako nayo kwa sasa. Bila shaka baadaye tutakuwa tunapata mengi tu kulingana na vile watakavyokuwa wamepata matokeo. Kwa sasa basi naarifiwa tuweze kusikiza tu kauli za makasisi, manake awali walizungumza na Wakenya na kauli yao ilikuwa ni kuwataka Wakenya wadumishe amani na utulivu wakiwa wanasubiri hesabu kamili na mshindi kutangazwa na tume ya IEBC. Hebu tusikize kamili.
As all Kenyans, that IEBC is the only mandated body constitutionally to give us the results. So what we want to urge our political parties, don't put the country into unnecessary anxiety by making your declarations, because the referee has not yet declared. Let us all hold our horses. Let us be responsible about this country. And what I want to urge Kenyans, it is only IEBC which will give us the final results. Let us wait for them, not any other quarter, not social media, not what the political parties are doing. That's what I've already urged my bishops across the country. Let us wait, because the referee has not pronounced the results. May God bless you. Our message to all our political class, even those who have won, we congratulate you, but celebrate responsibly. For those who have lost, know that an election was to give us a winner and a loser. No position can be occupied by 2 people at the same time. It is only one person. Accept the will of the Kenyan people. Even for our presidential candidate, our appeal is that we will only have one leader, and that will be the leader of this country. The message, the first word you utter to Kenya matters a lot. Ours is to urge you that prepare to tell Kenyans a message of hope. And if anything, you need Kenya as Kenya needs you, whichever way it goes. Kenya needs you.
Na bila shaka ni viongozi wa kidini hao wakiwarai wa Kenya kuweza kudumisha amani, wakisema kwamba Kenya inakuhitaji wewe na Kenya inanihitaji mimi. Hivyo basi hatuna budi kuwa watulivu tu na kusubiri yale ambayo tutakuwa tunaelezwa na IEBC. Kwa sasa basi kuendelea na matangazo yetu, nampisha mwenzangu Sam upande wa pili aweze kuendelea na wageni wetu. Na maswali yangu mawili matatu, sijui nani kati yao hapa atakuwa anaweza kunijibu vizuri Kiswahili, nimrushie manake na wewe Kisinja ndio unasema
hapa mimi sio.
Unaweza kumuuliza Bobby.
Mimi sio Bobby, huyu ni mkosti.
Yeye ni mkosti. Haya sawa, nitampatia nafasi kwa sasa Sam aendelee, kisha baadaye nitakuja kwako Bob. Sawa sawa eh?
Sawa sawa. All right, thank you Mwana Hamisi. And of course, I want us to begin by looking at, of course, we've seen a lot of elections already declared, especially at the county level and the constituency level, and it has turned out quite smooth if you have to compare with the previous elections. Some of the members of parliament, for instance, in Mount Kenya region, already conceding defeat. If you look at the county elections, for instance, in West Pokot, Professor Lonyangapu already holding the hand of Governor Kachapin, who he beat in the first election in 2017, and now saying that the process of handing over will be put in motion. You listen to Mutula Kilonzo Jr. of Makueni saying that they are now waiting for the transition committee. Would you know, let me begin with you, Bobby, would you know in law how soon that transition has to happen and when we should start seeing swearing in, especially of governors, but also the next part for the legislators at the national level?
I think for governors, if I recall, it should be within after 10 days of the declaration of the official results, that the governor who's been declared, or the person who's been declared winner, should be sworn in,
right?
So as to take the reins of administration immediately, and this so much to ensure that there is no lacuna,
right.
There's no gap in the administration and delivery of services at the county, and similarly for MPs, I forget the exact timeline, but immediately the official results are gazetted, and those that feel that they have been offended by those results can then invoke immediately the petition mechanisms, even prior to the swearing in of the MPs who've been declared elected in Parliament.
But that doesn't interfere with the taking oath of office for the legislators as well as the governors. They can,
no,
that can continue even
yes,
as
that continues, yeah. Because in fact, you see even the cases or the petitions have even up until 6 months,
right.
Especially for the gubernatorial ones for exhaustion, and so. Within this period, definitely those who have been declared elected will have taken oaths of office. But again, and the cases are going on depending on the appeal, if appeal mechanisms are invoked.
Right.
So up to 6 months, these people will be in office serving until the courts declare the finality
right.
of the petitions, they'll be good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Kakai, what do you make of these concessions that we have seen of different leaders that have lost? Is it because of the transparency of the process, or it's people just adjusting their expectations?
You know, politicians, there's a song that talks about Katasibu tuko site. So people are on the ground, and
yes.
before they were going into the elections, they knew their levels of performance.
Right.
Because really a politician is supposed to be on the ground. That's where the voters are, and that's where the wananchi who are going to vote you in or out are. So by the time a politician, I will want to imagine genuinely that by the time a politician is conceding defeat, unless there are grounds or unless there are avenues of malpractices that they have identified, then the noble thing to do in democracy is to concede. So I've seen quite a lot of them conceding. That means, therefore, that they are accepting that I'm conceding now because I think the people did not want me, they did not elect me.
Right.
But I also feel that there were no malpractices. However, the fact that one concedes doesn't mean it's the end of him, because he can realize if there are malpractices, he can change his mind.
Right.
Nothing stops him from changing his mind and filing a petition to contest the outcome of that very result that in the first place they conceded. Because the beauty of us in Kenya as a country is we have a constitution and we have legal framework that works very well. It gives you avenue for petition the way Bobby Mkangi is talking about. Specific timeframes are set in the constitution and in the various Elections Act. So I think conceding is part of the game.
Right. Yes. And Bobby, let's just be clear here. The election court for MCAs versus the election courts for the other seats from MP all the way to the governor, because for the presidential, you're sure that it's at the Supreme Court. What about the other seats?
For the governors, it's the High Court. So the governors will have various high courts in their different jurisdictions to go to. And the MCAs will have the magistrates' courts. In the different areas they also come from to go and petition. Again, apart from the presidential election where there is only one layer of approach, and that is the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court's determination is final. With these other ones, and especially also with consideration that the Supreme Court also invoked that jurisdiction, they start from, as you said, as MCA from the Magistrates Court, but they can appeal all the way to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And similarly, with the other positions, whether it's an MP, whether it's a senator, MP, member of National Assembly, and a senator, and then the governors also have at least these two other layers.
So the beginning of the High Court, they can appeal at the Court of Appeal, and eventually they can appeal at the Court, at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Okay, very, very interesting. And of course,
interestingly, you have to forget one of the key stakeholders in the electoral dispute management,
right?
Because these are just politicians who will probably win or lose, and if you lose, you lost the election, and you feel you are aggrieved, then you have a right to move to the courts. And you realize that already the Chief Justice has gazetted the court rules in terms of how many days are we going to sit as courts to listen to these disputes, because the whole idea was that you listen to these disputes as fast as you can. Because if you look at the Supreme Court decisions, and if you look at the presidential petition, for example, the law is anchored there, and Bobby must have forgotten that you have to clear this thing within 14 days. So you have to collect your evidence and everything within 7 days, the following 7 days, cleared and a decision made. But these other courts, the deadlines are not there. They are guided by the directions that have come from the Chief Justice. And she has already gazetted these deadlines, so they are really already ready in terms of hearing any petition that might occur. But the whole idea is to finish these petitions within the shortest time frame possible.
We'll get back to the process of members of parliament being sworn in and the other processes, because I think there's something you call a prorogue or something. We'll get to that. But before we do, so for these disputes, electoral-related disputes, what is the place of the East African Court of Justice in this question? Because you've seen it used by one of the leaders in the country who was contesting a gubernatorial seat. What is its place in our law, Bobby?
There's the contestation as to whether it has jurisdiction in terms of the direct technicalities to do with our elections, in terms of how we conduct the elections, the rules, the procedures, whether it has jurisdiction around that. But again, you remember, and you're speaking to, I'm sure, the question of Honorable Martha Karua, and what she invoked in terms of the jurisdiction of the East African Court of Justice. And it was more in terms of the court here failing to entertain, her suit. So failing to avail her avenues of justice, which the East African treaty avails to the citizens, if I may say, or the residents of the community. So there's a difference in terms of whether the East African Court of Justice can make a determination that affects the decisions made or the outcomes out of elections in a member country. That's one. Or it speaks to the broader issues of protecting rights. And so when it makes a declaration, it's more of declarations that seek to repair or give redress where rights are deemed to have been either threatened or abrogated from, or in certain ways not properly declared. But in terms of it making a declaration that can reverse or can change a determination that has already been done through the election processes in the country, but again also have been determined by the courts in the country, and especially on an issue like the presidential election, where specific jurisdiction has been placed in a particular court, then it is very difficult for the East African Court of Justice. And when you look at its jurisdiction around election issues, to make a determination that directly affects the outcome.
And I think to add on that, I agree. I think we went to the same class with Bobby because we were classmates.
Yes.
We were taught the same constitutional law. And there's a basic thing which we call that you must exhaust your local remedies. Therefore, for example, a member of parliament or a presidential candidate cannot run to that court. He must exhaust the avenues. So for you to exhaust avenues here as a member of parliament who is aggrieved, you have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, and that's a time frame. But then the jurisdiction of that court is completely removed from what we deal with in terms of electoral process. We have sufficient laws in this country to deal with the petitions, and they must end here.
Okay, very interesting. Mwana Hamisi, I understand that you want to take us somewhere else. Please do so.
Naam, naarifiwa kwamba tuende moja kwa moja hadi katika kaunti ya Kitui, manake matokeo rasmi tayari yameshawasilishwa. Na kufuatia matokeo hayo tunaarifiwa kwamba Julius Malombe ndiye ambaye amechaguliwa kuwa gavana wa kaunti ya Kitui. Irene Kasalu amechukua kiti cha mwakilishi wa kike na Enoch Wambua ndiye ambaye ataongoza kaunti hiyo katika wadhifa wa useneta.
And trusting the mantle for councilman, member of parliament on me. I want to promise the people of Kitui that I am going to work diligently to deliver my manifesto. I listen to them and I call on all my opponents. Siasa imeisha. Sasa ni kufanya kazi. Na sitaki kuangalia kama tumeshindana, ilikuwa mchezo na mchezo umefanya nini? Imeisha.
I will serve everyone equally. In fact, I think I'll begin by going to the places where I did not get votes to understand what the issues are.
Na wasihi tushikane mkono ili tufanyie watu wa Kitui kazi. I'll be as inclusive as possible, even to those whom we are competing with.
All right, that's the decision, Kenya's choice in Makueni, or rather Kitui County. And of course, the first governor, Julius Malombe, makes a comeback, of course, after a 5-year break during which Charity Ngilu was the governor of Kitui. But in this election, yes, her name was on the ballot paper, but she withdrew from the race, saying that she was willing to step out of the race to have the other candidates go against each other. And of course, that's the outcome from that area. Let's now cross over to the Bomas of Kenya for you to have a feel of what's going on there. Remember that just like an hour ago, one of Wafula Chebukati announced some of the changes that will guide the process of verification of the returns from the constituencies, indicating that constituency returning officers will be coming to the Bomas of Kenya. They will be received by the chairman himself, that is Wafula Chebukati, as the returning officer of the presidential election. And after that, they should proceed to the ICT desks to have their Forms 34A from the polling stations verified against what was transmitted electronically, just to check if there's any variance in those documents, and whatever it is, then a report will be made. We will also want to show you images from Kasarani Stadium, where the county tallying center of the Nairobi City County is going on. It is expected that we should be having some results